Welcome to part 76 of the Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, internet mysteries, and more. Quick reminder to click like and subscribe and the notification bell. The Shag Harbor UFO Incident. On October 4th, 1967, the fishing village of Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia, became the focal point of the event, often dubbed Canada's Roswell. It began around 11 p.m. when multiple witnesses reported seeing a series of flashing lights descend rapidly towards the harbor before crashing into the water. The object, described as about 60 feet in diameter, emitted a bright orange glow and appeared to be in distress. Eyewitness Laurie Wickens and his friends initially thought they were witnessing an aircraft accident. Concerned for possible survivors, Wickens immediately contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, better known as the RCMP. Within minutes, local fishermen, the Coast Guard, and other rescue personnel converged on the scene, expecting to find wreckage and survivors. However, despite thorough searches, no debris or bodies were found. This event prompted a series of investigations by various Canadian authorities, including the RCMP, the Canadian military, and the Department of National Defense. Divers were dispatched to search the waters where the object had supposedly sunk, but they found no evidence of a crash. The meticulous documentation and multiple government investigations have lent considerable credibility to the event. Despite this, no conclusive explanation has ever been determined, leaving the incident an unresolved mystery. One hypothesis suggests that the object was a secret experimental aircraft, potentially from the United States or even the Soviet Union, given the Cold War context of the era. Another theory posits that it was indeed an extraterrestrial spacecraft, bolstered by the unusual characteristics of the incident and the lack of conventional explanations. In November 1983, the world unknowingly teetered on the brink of nuclear war during a NATO military exercise known as AEL Archer 83. This exercise, part of the broader Autumn Forge series, was designed to simulate a hypothetical conflict between NATO and the Warsaw Pact, escalating from conventional warfare to nuclear engagement. However, due to the heightened tensions of the Cold War and deep-seated paranoia within the Soviet Union, what was intended as a routine drill almost led to a catastrophic nuclear exchange. The early 1980s were a particularly tense period in the Cold War. Relations between the United States and the Soviet Union had sharply deteriorated following the détente of the 1970s. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 and the election of Ronald Reagan as U.S. President in 1981 marked a significant hardening of U.S. policy toward the Soviet Union. Reagan's administration embarked on a substantial military buildup, which included the deployment of Pershing II intermediate-range ballistic missiles in Western Europe. These missiles were a source of significant concern for the Soviets, who feared that their short flight time could enable a surprise attack that would cripple their ability to retaliate. Amidst this backdrop, the Soviet Union initiated Operation RYAN, a massive intelligence operation aimed at detecting signs of an imminent nuclear strike by NATO. This operation reflected the deep paranoia within the Soviet leadership, particularly under Yuri Andropov, the former KGB head who had become the General Secretary of the Communist Party. The Soviets were convinced that the United States might launch a surprise nuclear attack. This belief was exacerbated by the aggressive rhetoric from Washington and the ongoing military exercises in Europe. AEL Archer 83, conducted from November 2nd to November 11th, 1983, was a NATO command post exercise that aimed to simulate a period of escalating conflict, culminating in a coordinated NATO nuclear strike. Unlike previous exercises, AEL Archer 83 incorporated several new elements that made it appear more realistic. These included changes in communication protocols, the use of live nuclear weapon simulators, and the participation of high-level officials. This all contributed to the authenticity of the exercise, and consequently, to Soviet anxieties. During the exercise, NATO forces simulated raising their readiness level to DEFCON 1, the highest alert status used in anticipation of an imminent nuclear war. Soviet intelligence, already on high alert due to Operation RYAN, interpreted the exercise's realistic elements as preparations for a genuine nuclear strike. This misinterpretation led the Soviet Union to take precautionary measures, including placing their nuclear forces on high alert. Bombers were loaded with nuclear weapons, missile units were prepared for launch, and submarines were deployed to evade detection. The crisis reached its peak on November 8th, when Soviet forces were reported to be prepared to launch a nuclear strike if they believed an attack was indeed imminent. The world came perilously close to a nuclear war that would have had devastating consequences. Fortunately, the exercise concluded without incident on November 11th, and Soviet forces were ordered to stand down. However, it was only later that Western intelligence realized the full extent of how close the situation had come to disaster. The events surrounding AEL Archer 83 shocked American officials, including President Reagan, who later expressed his surprise at the intensity of Soviet fears. The incident served as a stark reminder of the dangers of nuclear brinksmanship and the potential for miscalculation during periods of high tension. Reagan's administration subsequently sought to reduce tensions with the Soviet Union, leading to a renewed focus on arms control negotiations. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the AEL Archer exercise was indeed a cover for a potential all-out nuclear assault on the Soviet Union. The Great Moon Hoax. In 1835, the New York Sun published a series of 6 articles that claimed the discovery of life on the moon, an event now known as the Great Moon Hoax. The New York Sun, a penny press paper founded by Benjamin Day, was known for its affordable price and what we may euphemistically refer to as, quote, engaging journalism. The first article in the series appeared on August 25, 1835, and was purportedly reprinted from the non-existent Edinburgh Journal of Science. The articles were attributed to Dr. Andrew Grant, who was described as a colleague of the renowned astronomer Sir John Herschel. In reality, Richard Adams Locke, a Sun reporter, wrote the articles as a satire on contemporary speculative science and the public's fascination with extraterrestrial life. The articles described fantastical discoveries made with a massive telescope supposedly built by Herschel at the Cape of Good Hope. Early reports included descriptions of lunar vegetation, white sand beaches, and strange pyramid-like structures. As the series progressed, readers were introduced to increasingly bizarre creatures, including bipedal beavers and miniature zebras. The pinnacle of the hoax came with the discovery of the Vespertilio homo, or man-bat, creatures that were 4 feet tall, covered in short copper-colored hair, and had wings. These man-bats were described as rational beings, seen engaging in conversations and other activities. The series also mentioned a mysterious abandoned temple made of sapphire, further adding to the allure and mystery of the supposed lunar civilization. The public reaction was overwhelmingly enthusiastic. The New York Sun saw a massive increase in sales, and the story was widely reprinted in newspapers across the United States and Europe. Allegedly, even a committee of Yale University scientists was reportedly taken in by the hoax, traveling to New York to verify the findings, only to be sent on a wild goose chase by the Sun's staff. Despite the growing skepticism among some readers, it wasn't until September 16, 1835, that the Sun admitted the articles were a hoax. Remarkably, this revelation did not damage the paper's reputation. Instead, it seemed to amuse the public, and the newspaper continued to thrive. The mystery of the Great Moon Hoax lies in its ability to blur the lines between reality and fiction so convincingly that even educated individuals, including scientists, were deceived. The detailed and imaginative descriptions of lunar life forms and landscapes played on the scientific curiosity and the zeitgeist of the 19th century, which was ripe with discoveries and explorations. The Great Moon Hoax is often cited as an early example of sensational journalism. Personally, I'm surprised that anyone fell for this obvious hoax. Everyone knows that the moon has a government, the Moon Kingdom, which is ruled by Queen Serenity and protected by the Sailor Guardians. The disappearance of Andrew Gosden. On September 14, 2007, 14-year-old Andrew Gosden from Doncaster, South Yorkshire, disappeared. Andrew Gosden was a highly intelligent and quiet teenager who loved metal and rock music. On the morning of his disappearance, he left home in his school uniform but returned shortly after his parents left for work. He changed into casual clothes, specifically a black Slipknot t-shirt and black jeans, packed his wallet, keys, and a PlayStation Portable, and headed to Doncaster railway station. At the station, he withdrew £200 from his bank account and bought a one-way ticket to London, declining a return ticket. Andrew was last seen on CCTV arriving at King's Cross Station in London at 11:20 a.m. and exiting the station at 11:25 a.m. This was the last confirmed sighting of him. The initial investigation revealed no signs of premeditation. He had not taken his passport or packed any additional clothes. That evening, when Andrew's parents discovered he was not at home, they initially believed he was with friends. By 7 p.m., they contacted the police. Despite intensive searches and widespread media coverage, no further sightings were reported. One popular theory suggests Andrew traveled to London to attend a concert by the band 30 Seconds to Mars. This is supported by a photo from the concert, although the person in the image cannot be conclusively identified as Andrew. Another theory posits that Andrew may have been meeting someone he had contacted online. This theory aligns with his interest in music and technology, but lacks substantial evidence. Andrew's father suggested that his son might have visited London for the King Tut exhibition at the British Museum, reflecting Andrew's academic interests. There's also a possibility that Andrew went to London seeking work experience opportunities, similar to what his sister did when she was his age. In December 2021, South Yorkshire police arrested 2 men on suspicion of kidnapping and human trafficking in connection with Andrew's disappearance. The men were later released under investigation, but no new substantial leads emerged from this inquiry, and in September 2023, their names were cleared in relation to this incident. Despite extensive investigations and public appeals, Andrew's whereabouts remain unknown. His family continues to seek answers and maintain hope for his safe return. The case remains open, with police encouraging anyone with information to come forward. The Mount Owen Moa Claw is an archaeological find that offers a glimpse into the prehistoric era and the life of the moa, a giant flightless bird that once roamed New Zealand. Discovered in 1987 by the New Zealand Speleological Society in the cave systems of Mount Owen, the claw was so well preserved that it appeared almost fresh. And I can't be the only one who had never heard the term speleological before. It means related to the exploration of caves. Finally, the word spelunking makes sense. Surprisingly, the claw retained flesh and muscle despite being approximately 3,000 years old. The upland moa was among the smaller species of moa, standing up to 4 feet tall. Notably, this was by far the smallest species of moa, with some reaching up to 10 feet tall. These birds were unique. They had feathers covering their bodies, lacked wings and tails, and lived in the cooler, higher regions of New Zealand. The Moa's lineage dates back over 18 million years, with origins likely tracing back to the ancient supercontinent Gondwana. The first scientific recognition of the Moa occurred in 1839, when a Maori tribesman gave a fossilized bone to a British trader. This bone eventually reached Sir Richard Owen at the Hunterian Museum in London. After years of study, Owen identified it as belonging to a giant bird, which led to the full reconstruction of the Moa's skeleton and confirmed its existence. The preservation of the Mount Owen claw is attributed to the dry conditions of the cave, which helped maintain its soft tissue. This remarkable state of preservation has led to discussions about the potential for de-extinction, with scientists exploring the possibility of cloning the Moa using its DNA. The Moa faced rapid extinction following the arrival of Polynesian settlers in the 13th century due to overhunting and habitat destruction. The Moa's slow reproductive cycle made them especially vulnerable. By the time Europeans arrived in New Zealand in the 18th century, all these big birds had vanished, and the Haast's eagle, their primary predator, soon followed into extinction. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding the Mount Owen Moa claw is how it remained so well preserved for thousands of years. The claw's discovery in such an intact state raises questions about the environmental conditions within the cave that contributed to its preservation. Additionally, the rapid extinction of the Moa itself is still not fully understood. Despite clear evidence of human impact, the exact sequence of events and the speed at which the Moa disappeared remain topics of ongoing research and debate. Another intriguing aspect is the possibility of reviving the Moa. The presence of well-preserved remains, like the Mount Owen claw, offers a glimmer of hope for scientists exploring de-extinction. Personally, I won't be happy until we live in a world where mammoths roam the Siberian tundra, giant birds are in charge of New Zealand, and our skies are blackened by flocks of cloned-out flying dodos. The Green Lady of Fyvie Castle. Fyvie Castle, located in Aberdeenshire, Scotland, is renowned not only for its historical significance, but also for its eerie legends. Fyvie Castle's origins trace back to the 13th century, possibly built by William the Lion in 1211. The castle has seen numerous royal figures, including Robert the Bruce, who held court there, and Charles I, who lived at Fyvie during his childhood. Over the centuries, Fyvie Castle passed through the hands of 5 families: the Prestons, the Meldrums, the Seatons, the Gordons, and the Leiths. Each family left its mark, adding towers and other architectural features that contribute to the castle's grandeur today. Fyvie Castle is also claimed to be home to spectral entities. Among them are a phantom trumpeter and the Grey Lady, believed to be Lady Meldrum. These ghosts, along with unexplained phenomena such as indelible bloodstains and strange noises, contribute to Fyvie's reputation as one of Scotland's most haunted castles. The most famous ghost of Fyvie Castle is the Green Lady, believed to be Lilias Drummond, the wife of Alexander Seaton. According to legend, Lilias failed to produce a male heir, which angered her husband. Lilias Drummond's name is famously carved into the stone windowsill of the Lord's bedroom, supposedly by her spirit on the night her husband remarried. Lilias's ghost is often associated with the scent of roses, and sightings of her specter in a green dress have been reported throughout the castle. Some believe her spirit remains restless due to the injustices she faced in life, while others think she is bound by the unresolved curse of the Weeping Stones. The prophet and Scottish Lord Thomas the Rhymer is said to have cursed the castle when he was denied entry during a stormy night. The curse involved 3 stones taken from the castle, which would bring misfortune until they were reunited. To this day, only 1 stone has been found, and it remains damp, symbolizing the ongoing curse. In the 1920s, renovation work uncovered a skeleton behind a bedroom wall, leading to a series of strange occurrences that only ceased when the skeleton was reinterred behind the wall. This skeleton, too, is thought to be related to the hauntings at the castle. Hey everyone, it's Jimmy taking a few seconds to promote my work. Remember to like and subscribe, and also share this video with your friends and family. Sharing the video with your friends and family is one of the biggest ways you can help my channel grow. Also check out my music on Spotify, YouTube Music, and Apple Music. If you love chill electronica and lo-fi beats, I think you would really love my music. In August 1973, the airwaves were filled with the desperate cries of a young boy who would later be known as Lost Boy Larry. His voice was heard over Citizens Band Radio, better known as CB Radio, pleading for help, claiming that he was trapped in an overturned truck somewhere in the mountains of New Mexico. Over the span of several days, the voice of Larry captivated the attention of radio operators across the United States and even parts of Canada, sparking a massive search operation. The first transmission came on August 7, 1973, when a CB radio operator in California picked up a signal from a distressed boy. Larry, as he identified himself, said that he was 7 years old and had been out on a rabbit hunting trip with his father. According to Larry, their red and white pickup truck had overturned, and his father was either dead or gravely injured. Larry's communications were filled with static and often garbled, but the sense of urgency and fear in his voice was unmistakable. What followed was an unprecedented search effort. Law enforcement agencies, civilian volunteers, and even the military joined forces to locate Larry. The search was focused on the mountainous regions around Albuquerque, New Mexico, where Larry claimed to be stranded. Despite the extensive resources deployed, including aircraft equipped with radio direction finding equipment, no trace of the boy or the vehicle was ever found. The situation was further complicated by the conflicting details Larry provided during his broadcasts. At times, he claimed his father had died of a heart attack, while at other times, he mentioned his father was alive but unconscious. Larry's transmissions also indicated that he could see searchlights from aircraft, leading searchers to focus on certain areas, but these leads proved fruitless. As the days wore on, skepticism began to grow. The possibility that the entire incident was a hoax was considered, especially given the lack of physical evidence and the increasingly sporadic nature of Larry's transmissions. However, many of those who communicated with Larry believed in the authenticity of his pleas. The emotional intensity and the consistency of his calls for help over several days led many to believe that a real boy was indeed in danger. By August 12th, the search was officially called off. No evidence was ever found to substantiate Larry's story, and no one matching his description was reported missing. The New Mexico State Police, who led the search, expressed doubt about the legitimacy of the calls, yet they could not completely rule out the possibility that a real emergency had occurred. The incident has since become a subject of speculation and debate. Some believe that Larry was the victim of a tragic accident, and whose body was never found, while others argue that the entire episode was an elaborate prank. Technical experts have pointed out that the battery in a CB radio would unlikely last as long as Larry's did, adding to the doubts about the incident's authenticity. Additionally, the fact that Larry never provided a last name, a precise location, or any other identifiable information further fueled suspicions of a hoax. In the decades since the incident, the story of Lost Boy Larry has taken on a life of its own, becoming part of American folklore. The case remains unresolved, and whether Larry was real or a figment of someone's imagination, his story continues to haunt those who remember those frantic days in August 1973. This was a suggestion by Patreon and Discord member and frequent contributor Monoxide Wendigo. By way of reminder, if you have a case you would like featured on the series, be sure to join the Discord or leave a comment below. Caitlin Thornley, a 12-year-old from Angleton, Texas, began an unusual and debilitating journey when she couldn't stop sneezing. This condition started suddenly after a clarinet lesson, with Caitlin initially thinking she had a simple allergy. However, the sneezing persisted and worsened, reaching up to 12,000 sneezes a day. Her condition baffled doctors, who could not pinpoint a definitive cause. Caitlin's ordeal began in 2015, and it drastically impacted her life. She experienced severe physical pain, weakness, and significant disruption to her daily activities. Eating and drinking became challenges, and attending school was nearly impossible due to her constant sneezing. This rare and mysterious condition also subjected her to teasing from peers, compounding her distress. Medical professionals at Texas Children's Hospital in Houston explored various theories. One possibility suggested that Caitlin might be experiencing a type of tic disorder, as she described a peculiar sensation in her nose before the sneezing fits began. Despite extensive testing and consultation, no clear diagnosis was reached. Interestingly, Caitlin found temporary relief from her symptoms through music. Listening to the Beatles seemed to soothe her, providing brief moments of respite from the relentless sneezing. This peculiar response added another layer of mystery to her condition. Lauren's condition was eventually diagnosed as pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorders associated with streptococcal infections. And yeah, that's a mouthful, so medical experts call the condition Pandas. This is a controversial potential condition where a streptococcal infection triggers neuropsychiatric symptoms such as tics or obsessive-compulsive behaviors. Notably, it is unclear if pandas actually exist, with the medical community being very strongly divided on the reality or unreality of pandas. Saturn, the sixth planet from the Sun, is known for its stunning rings and mysterious atmospheric phenomena. One of the most captivating features of Saturn is the massive hurricane located at its north pole, famously known as Saturn's hexagon. The hexagon on Saturn was first captured in images by the Voyager spacecraft during Saturn's summer in the 1980s. The structure, with its 6 distinct sides, measures wider than 2 Earths and has been a subject of fascination ever since. The hexagon re-emerged into the scientific spotlight in 2009 when sunlight returned to the North Pole after 7 years of darkness, allowing NASA's Cassini spacecraft to capture data. The hurricane at Saturn's North Pole is an immense and powerful storm. The eye of the hurricane is about 1,200 miles wide, approximately 20 times larger than the largest hurricane eye on Earth. The outer edge of the hurricane consists of bright clouds traveling at speeds of 330 miles per hour. Unlike hurricanes on Earth, which derive their energy from warm ocean water, Saturn's hurricane swirls within an atmosphere composed mostly of hydrogen and helium. The hexagon and the hurricane at its center are unique for several reasons. Firstly, the hexagon's geometric shape is unlike any weather pattern observed on Earth. Scientists are still trying to understand how the hexagon maintains its structure, given that Earth's atmospheric phenomena rarely exhibit such geometric precision. The hurricane itself is stationary, locked onto the North Pole, unlike Earth's hurricanes, which tend to move due to various atmospheric forces. This stationary nature raises questions about the dynamics of Saturn's atmosphere and the role of its polar regions in maintaining such a storm. The hexagon's longevity is another mystery. While weather patterns on Earth can last from days to weeks, Saturn's hexagon has persisted for decades, indicating a stability that is not fully understood. Theories suggest that it could be related to Saturn's internal heat and its rapid rotation, which creates a different atmospheric dynamic compared to Earth. One theory suggests that the hexagon is formed by a jet stream, that flows around the North Pole, causing the clouds to arrange into a hexagonal shape. Another theory posits that the hexagon could be a standing wave pattern in Saturn's atmosphere. The Cassini mission has been pivotal in providing detailed observations of the hexagon and the hurricane. Cassini's infrared imaging revealed that the eye of the storm is dark at infrared wavelengths, where methane gas absorbs light, indicating clear skies extending deep into Saturn's atmosphere. Dewey read more books, the beloved library cat, captivated the hearts of many with his incredible journey from a near-frozen kitten to an international sensation. His story began on a cold January morning in 1988 when Vicki Myron, the head librarian at Spencer Public Library in Spencer, Iowa, discovered something shocking. A tiny, shivering kitten had been stuffed into the library's book return slot, apparently left for dead. This abandoned kitten, later named Dewey Read More Books, would go on to bring joy and comfort to the library's patrons and gain worldwide fame. On that fateful morning, Myron found the kitten barely alive, wedged inside the return slot on one of the coldest nights of the year. Despite his rough start, Dewey quickly recovered under the care of Myron and her staff. As Dewey grew, he became more than just a pet. He was a fixture at the library, known for his charming antics and his ability to sense and comfort those in need. Dewey's fame began to spread beyond Spencer. His story was featured in Gary Roma's documentary Puss in Books and discussed by radio host Paul Harvey on his program The Rest of the Story. Dewey also appeared in a Japanese documentary in 2004 where he gained a significant following. He became a symbol of hope and resilience, particularly as Spencer, Iowa, faced economic struggles during the farm crisis of the 1980s. Dewey's presence in the library was transformative. Patrons would travel from far and wide to meet the famous library cat, and he helped raise thousands of dollars for the Spencer Public Library through the sale of postcards featuring his likeness. In his later years, Dewey faced health challenges, including cat arthritis, but he continued to be a source of joy and inspiration until his passing in 2006 at the age of 19. His obituary was published in over 250 newspapers worldwide, and a public memorial service was held in his honor. The Spencer Public Library, while deciding not to adopt another resident cat, still celebrates Dewey's memory and the profound impact he had on the community. Oh yeah, and what's the mystery here? Well, Dewey Read More Books was appointed the staff supervisor of the library. I have it on good authority from sources who do not want to be named in this video that Mr. Books didn't obtain this position entirely through merit. I can't confirm this to be true, but I've been advised that he obtained the position through extorting the management with his general cuteness, fuzzy paws, and charming purring. The disappearance of Pauline Picard. Pauline was a 2-year-old girl from Brittany in France who went missing from her family's farm on April 6, 1922. A few weeks later, a girl matching Pauline's description was found wandering in Cherbourg, 250 miles away. The Picards traveled to Cherbourg and, despite initial recognition by her mother, they soon noticed that the girl did not seem to remember her family or speak Breton, their local language. Despite these oddities, the Picards took her back, hoping that her memory would return with time. In late May 1922, the body of a young girl was discovered near the Picard farm. The body was missing vital parts and was found with neatly folded clothes identified as those Pauline wore when she vanished. Strangely, the site had been thoroughly searched previously, suggesting the body had been placed there later. Medical examiners were unable to determine the exact cause of her death. Some believed she had wandered off and succumbed to the elements, while others suspected foul play due to the peculiar condition and placement of her remains. The girl from Cherbourg, initially believed to be Pauline, was eventually sent back to Cherbourg after the discovery of the body near the Picard farm. She was later identified as Marie-Louise Pauline and lived the rest of her very short life in an orphanage, passing away during a measles epidemic in 1924. Several theories emerged regarding the true fate of Pauline Picard. One local suspect exhibited strange behavior, claiming guilt and subsequently being committed to a mental institution. However, his involvement remained unproven, and he does not appear to have been able to provide key facts, which would indicate he was actually involved in the act. Another theory suggested that Pauline had been abducted by a wealthy couple needing a replacement for their own lost child, but this lacked concrete evidence. The disappearance and subsequent events surrounding Pauline Picard's case present a series of unresolved questions and eerie coincidences. Yet another theory was that she wandered off and was attacked by wild animals. Despite extensive investigations, the truth of what happened to Pauline Picard remains a mystery. Personally, I find the element of the lost girl who was found by the Picards to be one of the saddest parts of this already awful story. The girl found in Cherbourg was already an orphan and was promptly abandoned by the Picards upon finding out she wasn't their daughter. Had they not abandoned her back in the orphanage, the second little girl may have lived. Cano Cristales, also known as the Rainbow River, is one of the most stunning natural wonders in Colombia, located in the Serranía de la Macarena mountain range. This river is famous for its vibrant colors, which result from the presence of the aquatic plant Macarenia clavigera. During the right conditions, primarily between June and November, the riverbed transforms into a dazzling display of red, yellow, green, blue, and black hues. The discovery of Cano Cristales dates back to 1969, when a group of cattle farmers stumbled upon it while exploring the remote region. The river's isolation has helped preserve its pristine condition, though it has faced environmental threats from illegal activities such as mining and logging. Fortunately, it is now part of a protected national park, ensuring its conservation and allowing controlled tourism. The unique phenomenon of Cano Cristales is primarily due to the geological and environmental factors of the region. The river flows over a bed of ancient rocks that date back to the Precambrian era, making it one of the oldest geological formations on Earth. The plant Macarenia clavigera, which thrives in this specific environment, requires a precise combination of water level and sunlight to bloom and display its vivid colors. During the wet season, the water level is too high for sufficient sunlight to reach the plants, while the dry season lacks the necessary water flow. The river is not only a visual spectacle, but also steeped in local legends and stories. Indigenous communities in the region have long revered Cano Cristales as a sacred site. Some legends speak of the river as a place of healing and spiritual renewal. The area's rich biodiversity and unique geological features contribute to its mystique, attracting researchers and tourists alike who seek to understand and appreciate its beauty. Despite its beauty, Cano Cristales has also been a site of historical conflict. Between 1989 and 2009, the region was affected by guerrilla warfare, which made it unsafe for tourists. The area has since stabilized, and with the reopening of the national park in 2009, it has become safer and more accessible to visitors. The Disappearance of Ben McDaniel. On August 18, 2010, Ben McDaniel, a 30-year-old diver, vanished while exploring the underwater cave system at Vortex Spring in Ponce de Leon, Florida. Ben McDaniel was an experienced diver, though he lacked the certification for cave diving, which is a specialized and hazardous type of diving. After suffering personal setbacks, including a failed marriage and financial troubles, Ben moved to his family's beach house in Florida to start anew and frequently visited Vortex Spring. This area is a popular diving site known for its clear waters and intricate cave system. On the evening of August 18, 2010, Ben was last seen by employees at Vortex Spring. He had completed a dive earlier in the day and spent the afternoon preparing his equipment and making notes in his dive log. Around 7:30 p.m., Ben embarked on another dive, entering the cave system after an employee, Eduardo Terran, unlocked the gate for him. This was the last time anyone saw Ben. Ben's truck remained in the parking lot for 2 days before the alarm was raised. Inside, his wallet, phone, and dive log were found, along with his dog left unattended at his home. This prompted a thorough search by local authorities, cadaver dogs, and local divers, including expert cave diver Ed Sorensen. However, no trace of Ben was found, apart from 2 unused decompression tanks. Sorensen and others concluded that Ben was not in the cave, leading to several theories about what might have happened. Some speculate that Ben ventured into the cave, got lost or trapped, and his body was carried away by the cave's currents or consumed by aquatic predators. There are suggestions that Ben might have encountered foul play either within or outside the cave. This theory gained traction with reports of criminal activity among some individuals associated with Vortex Spring. Another theory is that Ben staged his own disappearance to escape his financial burdens and start a new life. However, his family strongly disputes this, citing his love for his dog and his optimistic plans for the future. Over the years, the McDaniel family has hired private investigators and offered rewards for information. In 2013, a death certificate was issued for Ben, but his case remains unsolved. The Black Flash of Provincetown. The legend of the Black Flash begins in the late 1930s in Provincetown, Massachusetts. First reported by children in 1938, the Black Flash was described as a tall figure, over 8 feet, cloaked in black. It was said to be incredibly fast, often appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Some reports mentioned its glowing blue eyes and silver ears. One of the earliest adult accounts came from Marie Costa, who encountered the Black Flash near the town hall. She described the creature's glowing eyes and incredible leaping ability. This sighting prompted several men to attempt to catch the figure, but their efforts were in vain. The police initially dismissed the reports as a hoax, yet the sightings continued to pour in from all over town. As sightings increased, so did the stories surrounding the Black Flash. It was seen in various parts of Provincetown, sometimes reportedly being in 2 places at once, suggesting supernatural abilities. Notably, it was also suggested to be impervious to bullets and also having the ability to blow fire. One notable incident involved a group of police officers who cornered the Black Flash in a school playground. They reportedly ordered it to surrender, but it simply laughed and leapt over a 10-foot fence, unscathed by their bullets. And yeah, we're all thinking this is an American version of a very famous British creature by this point, aren't we? The local newspaper, the Provincetown Advocate, played a significant role in the story's spread. Various theories have been proposed over the years to explain the Black Flash. One theory suggests that it was a series of elaborate pranks carried out by local teenagers. According to Chief Tarvers, the figure was actually a boy standing on another's shoulders, covered in a black cape, with a flour sifter creating the appearance of silver ears. Others believe the Black Flash was a product of collective hysteria, a psychological response to the tension of the pre-World War II era. With German submarines reported off the coast and the recent panic from Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast, the community was ripe for such an apparition. Unsurprisingly, the Black Flash has often been compared to the British legend of Spring-Heeled Jack. Some researchers suggest that the Provincetown legend may have been influenced by these older tales, either consciously or unconsciously. However, others suggest that the Black Flash may have been the same creature or the same class of creatures as Spring-Heeled Jack. The last reported sighting of the Black Flash was in 1939. Over time, the figure faded into local folklore, re-emerging occasionally in ghost stories and Halloween tales. Despite various explanations, the true identity of the Black Flash remains a mystery. Also, I haven't dropped this line in months at this point, but there's always the possibility that this was an owl misidentification. The story of Minnie Wallace is a tale that has captivated many due to the mysterious circumstances surrounding the lives and untimely ends of her husbands. Minnie Wallace's story begins in New Orleans, where at the age of 16, she married 48-year-old J.R. Walkup, the mayor of Emporia, Kansas. This marriage quickly ended when Walkup died of arsenic poisoning just 1 month after their wedding in 1885. Minnie was put on trial for his demise but was acquitted, largely because it was revealed that Walkup habitually took arsenic for health reasons, complicating the accusations against her. Following this incident, Minnie moved to Chicago, where she married her second husband, John Ketchum, a wealthy Toledo businessman, in 1897. Similar to her first marriage, Ketchum died shortly after their wedding. Poison was found in his system, but his death was ultimately attributed to alcoholism, and Minnie faced no legal repercussions. Minnie's next significant relationship was with Delancey Louderback, a Chicago railroad magnate. Although they never married, Louderback was deeply infatuated with Minnie and lavished her with gifts and money, including a luxurious mansion in Chicago. Minnie, however, never moved into the mansion, instead choosing to leave for Europe, where she claimed to have married someone else. Louderback was found dead from cyanide poisoning in the mansion, and again, Minnie was cleared of any direct involvement as she was abroad at the time of his death. The story of Minnie Wallace is surrounded by a mix of documented facts and speculative narratives. While she was acquitted in all legal proceedings, the suspicious patterns in the deaths of her husbands have led many to view her with suspicion. Each case involved poisoning, a method that was difficult to conclusively prove at the time, thus leaving a trail of theories about her true role in these events. Minnie's life after these incidents saw her moving to California, where she lived quietly until her passing in 1957. The epidemic of Kuru among the Foray people. Kuru, a rare and fatal neurodegenerative disorder, primarily affected the Foray people of Papua New Guinea during the mid-20th century. This disease, now recognized as a form of transmissible spongiform encephalopathy, or TSE, was spread through the consumption of a very familiar mammal. Because of the platform we're on here, I'm not going to specifically mention which familiar mammal this is, but I can guarantee you one thing: there's at least one living in your home. The term Kuru means shiver or trembling in the Foray language, reflecting the tremors that were among the first symptoms observed in sufferers. The epidemic's origins can be traced back to the early 20th century. Researchers believe that the disease began around the 1910s or 1920s, likely sparked by a sporadic case of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in an individual. The symptoms of Kuru were devastating and progressed in 3 stages. Initially, individuals experienced unsteady gait and tremors. As the disease advanced, they suffered from severe coordination problems, muscle stiffness, and emotional instability, often manifesting as inappropriate laughter. Notably, this gave Kuru its colloquial name, laughing sickness. But trust me when I say Kuru is no laughing matter. In its final stage, victims were bedridden and unable to eat or move, eventually leading to a comatose state and eventual death. Once the Fori people stopped their ritualistic practice of consuming that most extremely familiar animal, the epidemic slowly faded out. Since 2009, there have been no documented deaths from Kuru, nor new cases of the disease. Remember to like the video if you liked it, and leave a thumbs down if you disliked it. Also make sure to leave a comment below, whether it's a suggestion or whether it's just to socialize. Also get my lazy chill lo-fi beats on Spotify, YouTube Music, or Apple Music. Also follow me on Instagram. The link is in the description and my bio. Shout out to my patrons Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z Volts, Zach Steele, Franz Tech, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, Boomslang, Spookiest Becky, Vespertine, Metanova, Will Roan, Crab Nebula, and Blasphemoose.